Greetings and hello. Excuse me, we're off to an interesting start. Greetings and hello. This is Joelle, and I am the Viberarian. I am here to elevate, enlighten, and empower. I am joined this evening by my dear sister, Sandy, the spiritual physician with Soul Wisdom International. We're going to give it just a moment or two here for everybody to get the notifications because we're getting ready to have a really interesting discussion here in just a little bit. I'm hoping that we'll be joined by one of our other guests, Isaiah Panay, in just a few moments. So please bear with me while we get the technology together. We'll be with you in just a minute. Sorry, let me turn my ringer off as well. Put it on do not disturb. Okay. Looks like, okay, here we go. Let's add Sandy back. Here you are. All right. Yay. You're on mute, and then I lost you again. Every time she goes to move the camera, something happens here. Let me look in the comments. Hey, Jackie, thank you for joining. Hello, hello. I'm just going to give it a pause here for a moment while we give everyone, we'll give it till about 8:03, 8:04.
Awesome.
All right, we've got you back, and we've got space for Isaiah as well. Here we go. I'm playing with the technology. We've got Jackie in the chat already, and I know that some of our past participants of family mapping are going to probably show up in chat. And hopefully we'll have another guest this evening for Isaiah, who works with you in the family mapping. So to back up the train a little bit and just share, this is part of an ongoing dialogue that Sandy and I have been having here on my channel about the work that she facilitates, family mapping, generational healing. And I have participated in this work as well. And we have an upcoming workshop, but this is kind of like an evolving process. Once you have your map done and begin to step into the healing work, it kind of just continues on. We've got folks from Kansas logged in. Hey, JoJo, so nice to see you. Thank you for tuning in. And so, Sandy, let me just give you a moment here to pause and say hello. You're on mute, it says. There we are.
Greetings, peace, and love, everyone. It is always such an honor to be here with Joelle, talking about any number of things. You can invite me back. I love it. I love it. I love it. And excited today to be speaking about the family mapping coming up.
Yay. Yes. So family mapping is a process that we have been going through. You facilitate this work, and it is a way for people to look at patterns that are presenting or situations that may be challenging them within their family dynamics in a way that brings a great deal of understanding, awareness, and healing. So that's a pretty good summary, wouldn't you say, of family mapping?
Yes. Absolutely. I agree 100%.
Well, we have gone through these workshops, which are an intensive one-day experience. And after you leave, you kind of begin to see family connections and healing in a very different way. And so oh, yay, let me pause before we get into this stream because I do see Isaiah is joining us. So we're going to have a wonderful 3-person panel this evening. I'm going to give her just a moment here to get set up. I think she's nearly ready here. Hi, Isaiah.
Greetings. Greetings, Isaiah.
Wonderful to see you. Thank you for joining us. So my panel this evening, both Sandy and Isaiah helped to facilitate these family mapping, generational healing workshops, and I participated in one many, many months ago, and that's how I met Isaiah. I met Sandy in community, and then I've had just the pleasure of walking with you both through the healing that has been triggered by my family mapping experience. So, Isaiah, did you have anything you just want to share a little bit about you and family mapping?
Yes. The things that it has brought to me in my journey, um, it's unveiled, revealed a lot of things in my family dynamics. It's allowed me and helped me to go through shadow work. Um, yeah. What else can I say? The experience alone is the experience alone to me will help you move through many things in your life journey.
Okay, this absolutely, I agree 100%. And Sandy, what would you share just before we get into the dialogue here?
I am always amazed every family mapping that we do, at the aha moments, at the awarenesses. I am always amazed at the testimonies after the family mapping. It's a constant evolution. You come to a family mapping, you experience it, whether it is your mapping that's happening or somebody else's. There is profound impact, and I love the words you use. The word triggered, Joelle, which can be seen as like an igniting of something, like something that has always been there, but something that actually ignited, like this burning, this fire, this unveiling, this wide open experience. And Isaiah used the term unveiled, revealed, shadow work. You know, it's everyone's experience is very unique, yet there's always a beautiful silver lining connecting each and every experience. And so I'm grateful to be a part of this experience with both of you all, and excited to move forward and invite everybody to our upcoming event.
Oh, yes, yes, September 29th. And I have some information about that posted later at the end of our conversation. But what I thought would be helpful, like the last couple conversations we had, our last one, we watched some video clips and the topic was secrets and shame. And oh, that was just really sensitive, right? So I wanted to bring this one into a popular culture setting, something we could all identify with. So I was thinking about Black Panther, Wakanda, Forever, the second one and the first one. And then I think I had my map before the second movie came out or so. So I began to see archetypes and stories, of course, differently through my own awareness. So, what I wanted to do, I've brought forward a few images as for us to break down, and we're going to family map and talk about the dynamics that we see here. And I wanted to share a couple years ago, Mahogany Cards on Hallmark had a thing where you could write away and get free greeting cards. So it went around all the socials. I think it was Facebook at the time. And you got your little card of free cards, your little gift envelope. And this one, the ancestors are moving mountains to see you
Wow, beautiful.
rise. Was it's the card that I got. It, of course, it's blank slate on the inside, but I thought that was so poetic as well. So this has been on my ancestor altar now since I got it, because it just, was perfectly aligned as a message of affirmation to me. And then the second thing I have here is this is a tiny piece of chocolate in the Black Panther emblem the flower that was sacred to them, that they
Oh wow,
ingested to
yes.
go to the ancestral plane. I I went to a Wakanda watch party with my friend Randy and his cosplay group. And there were 100+ people dressed up like characters from Black Panther in the comic books and movies of all ages over at Galleria Mall. And they had like a
Wow.
private watch party the day before the movie opened. So I got to go over there. And this is actually chocolate, but I couldn't eat it. I had to keep it. So this is, and it was handmade by somebody, I can't remember their name, but it was handmade, poured for this event by somebody who was
Wow.
there. So this is also on my ancestor altar. So I had to bring these into, the space of our conversation.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So I am going to share some slots. All right. So we are in Wakanda. Let's first talk about, in the original movie, we have Chadwick Boseman, who is connected deeply to his father, who is representing his country. And of course, the father, sorry, this is full of spoilers. You should have seen him by now. Okay. The father is killed in a terrorist attack. And basically, his secret of the father that the son knows is that he is the Black Panther, and that now legacy will pass to him with his father's death. There's a secret. No one else knows that there is a legacy that has been passed down to this man child that he now feels responsible for. All right, so let's talk about, I've got two slides, right? We're here talking about, I think this was when his father was in the ancestor plane already. And I hope I don't get taken down for these videos and images. So I'm going to take this off here real quick after we get a glimpse. This is for educational purposes, and I am not profiting. Okay. Hello. Fair use, fair use. Okay. But I think this picture was when he was in the ancestral plane and seeing his father and the elders. And then this picture was before the father got killed, when he was teaching him life lessons in in the diplomacy and representation of the kingdom. All right, so let's talk about this.
Let's talk about this. Wow. So, Isaiah I love Isaiah so much. I love you too, Joelle. But I love Isaiah from the very first moment that I met her. Her eyes have always been wide open to discovering what it is that her purpose is. And so as we talk about Black Panther, you were like, Isaiah, she comes to mind. I mean, even when you just look at it, she look like one of the warriors.
Yeah.
one of the women warriors.
Right.
But I like to think so from the pictures that you've shown so far. When I think about Isaiah, in the Black Panther, it is a biological son. And it gets real deep because there's another biological son, but we're not gonna jump to that just yet, because that's where the real family mapping come in,
Okay.
right?
That's
But we're
right.
gonna stick with this for a moment. Isaiah for me is one of those. So that scene that you saw with the father hand on the son's chest, that symbolized much to me because right at that moment there was a transference of energy. So we didn't know what was going to happen, the scene right after this happened, but that was already a transference of energy. And the son, Chadwick, didn't realize, the Panther Junior didn't realize what was about to happen. But it's almost like, the setup was, I'm putting my hand at your heart, you know and with all energy, we know energy never dies, it just transfers, transforms and transfer. So as I'm looking at that scene, I'm also thinking even about Isaiah, because Isaiah has been studying with me outside of family mapping many healing modalities. And most of those healing modalities include a touch.
Mhm.
And so I thought of her as I was watching that touch, because there's been a transference of energy. Now, let's talk a little bit about family mapping.
Let me also just insert before
Go
you
right
look,
ahead.
that song Grandma's Hands, right? When you think
Yes.
about how your grandmother's hands helped you learn how to touch the biscuits,
Yes.
or
Yes.
how to braided your hair, or the granddad's hands that taught you how to tie a tie. Those touches that were transferring unbeknownst to us as children from
Mm.
the elders in our family, right?
Yes. So let me back up and do this thing properly. I have to give honor where honor is due. Vasima Zulu Credo Mutwa is the reason that I know about family mapping. My spiritual father, Dr. Mark Armstrong, taught me this method of family mapping. However, he taught it in a way, not necessarily the way that he learned it, but he taught it in the way that Credo Mutual had intended it to be. It came to America through Bert Hillinger. And so Dr. Mark studied with Bert Hillinger, but what he realized is that there were components that were directly connected to us as people from Africa, direct descendants of African, where Basama Zulu Credo Mutual is an African, a priest. Well, he's transitioned now, but that was transferred to Credo Mutua from his ancestors, and that direct lineage it talking about how information is transferred. So Credo Mutua learned the history of his tribe, and it was not written. It was told in stories and parables. So he memorized his history. Now, moving forward to Dr. Mark Armstrong, his father was a teacher. And so what he did is he took the teachings of Credo Mutua and really brought it back to its natural state, so to speak. And so I have to say thank you to Dr. Mark, because he actually passed on to me the same way that, as you see in that shot with Black Panther and son Black Panther, that energy was transferred. So I want to first start off by, and I apologize, I didn't start off in this way before, but I want to give honor to the lineage and why I know about family mapping constellation. And you made me remember that because you talked about the grandmother's touch, grandmother's hand. You made me remember that. Thank you so much for that, Joelle.
Mhm. The thing that family mapping, like most of us have a clear view of maybe the idiosyncrasies, the addictions, the unhealthy paradigms and belief systems. Most of us have a good idea about that transference. But what we don't know is like
Mm,
what Chadwick, he did not know that he was about to be thrust into a new realm of responsibility, and that his whole life and what he was expected to do was about to change. And I mean, there's just so many angles that we can approach this particular character and dynamic, but he didn't know that he was going to face an adversary
mm,
that was the result of his father's actions and
mm.
the secrets, right? And I've got a slide
Ooh.
for that, that I could show
All right,
you
so
in a
let's
minute.
touch on that a little bit too. Well, let me pause. Isaiah, let me let you come in here and talk a little bit about this conversation that we're talking about.
Okay. I just seeing that picture just kind of made me think about his positioning and when we talk about family mapping, how the dynamics fall in, the dad having another son from someone else coming in, wanting to take the throne, just by me experiencing it myself, there's emotions of, okay, I'm now questioning myself as the firstborn, my position now is threatened. How could my father, it's all these emotions. And then, the dad and what happened in his mind, and why he may have had a second son and not told anyone, or put it on a hush and it was secrets. Like these layers that you have to, I feel like family mapping is a way of peeling back an onion. It's just from the dad to the panther to the other son, and it just keeps on peeling back, peeling back.
Well, let's say, okay, the inheritance that you receive, the transference. If we're remembering the story correctly, the father, that's what Killmonger was mad because there was some illegitimacy or some betrayal.
He was the firstborn.
Okay, he was the firstborn, and so
He was the firstborn. So when orders of love come in place, right? When you have not been placed in the position of your birth, first always come first. You can't get outside of first coming first. So when when the father went to another land and had relations with someone else and had a child, you know, and then went back home to the family that he was proud of and had a child, the orders of love doesn't shift because nobody know about the secret. The orders of love are still in place, and it will always come to bear, come to light at some point in time. But when we place those orders of love, we 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 judge ourselves. If we were to make a mistake in this society, it's like mistakes are not allowed. But mistake, if you want to call it a mistake, you
right.
know, it happens. It happens to all of us. And when we become, I guess, in tune enough with self to know that everybody under the sun have something, and when we all can accept the fact that my something is no better or worse than somebody else's something, the secrecy can begin to unfold and unveil itself in a healthier way. Not that we condone situations and circumstance, but it allows everybody an opportunity to be authentic in themselves. Then what happens is it goes forward and it goes backward. A clearing happens. The mistake is unveiled, the clearing began, and then the family can begin to heal from the mistake. That's what family mapping is about. It's about helping to, so to speak, correct what was hidden for the individual to be able to heal through it and then no longer live with that and repeat that same behavior. But as long as it is a secret, it's the secrets.
Well, here's interesting because okay, Chadwick's character, he did not know in his death that his partner had kept his son a secret.
Right. Father Panther. Okay,
Yeah,
so
like
Father
T'Challa
Panther.
didn't know that the little lady had been keeping his son. As the matriarch knew, Angela Bassett, she knew about that the women kept the secret from the larger public to the very end. But Chadwick didn't choose to keep his child secret, yet it's the same pattern that his dad had done, repeating itself without his per se contribution. That's how
Listen.
the energy is funky because you think you can skip. Like I cleared
Oh,
it, and it's like, oh no,
oh.
no.
Truth will always prevail, no matter whom or what. It will prevail. I love what Isaiah mentioned. She said in her family mapping, even herself, she felt displaced because thinking she was first. You understand? thinking that you're first. Now, guess what happens when you think you're something and the reality comes out that you're not what you thought you were?
Yeah.
What is the healing process through that? Most people say deal with it.
Well, you figure out how much stock you put into that identity.
Yeah.
Whoa, that's a
Like,
whole nother
because I
conversation
mean,
right
some
there.
people may not like really realize the way that birth order plays out. They may be oblivious to that kind of theory, and it may not be like, oh, a loss to them in their conscious mind, but the subtle shift of the puzzle pieces is happening internally, whether the conscious mind is ready to bring it to that person's operational awareness or not.
That part right there, Joelle, you just
Yeah.
said a mouthful, whether you're ready or not.
Whether you're ready or not. I feel like it's like dominoes. It just, and everybody gets hit with whatever the vibration is.
I mean, personally, so I'm an adopted person. And so there are all these things of bringing, into family others, but like in the bloodline kind of inheritance issue, it then matters not how you're raised, it matters who you're biologically related to. That's always a little trick in the movies, right, with the illegitimate son coming to claim, from the mistress or whatever. But as an adopted person, looking at, people say all the time, oh, do you want to go find your birth parents? Do you want to go connect? And I'm like, you don't understand what you are asking if I'm ready to undertake. The answer is too long. Because when you suddenly bust up in someone's life or they bust up in yours, and you're either, I know somebody who was like, found out she was the long lost baby of somebody in her community, her and her sister, and their parents had lost them to drug use through the system, and nobody knew where these babies had ended up. And it turns out they were adoptees, but didn't know they were related to this family because the mothers never disclose. So it's not just like, hey, hi, let's go be a happy family now. I found my birth people. Oh, orders of love go crazy. And then your own family satellite goes crazy. So like, I trust that my experience and my connection to my guides is leading me step by step through the parts that I can handle. That's a big shock. Like, it would blow up my entire reality if that knock ever comes or that email ever comes that says, hey, So it's not so simple. Open up ancestry match. Chadwick thought, okay, now I have to go assume the mantle of my father. But then he had to get the counsel. There were ceremonial things. There was not necessarily an assumption of lineage. I almost think of him like the Bushes, George Bush Sr., George Bush Jr. Like, there's this idea that you're a legacy inheritance of political power. And that was taken out of his framework, and he had to battle. And then all of a sudden, a mysterious stranger rides in, and everybody's off balance. The whole player power structure of Wakanda began to be disrupted from that point. It's very similar when second families and surprise kids come out of the woodwork.
Yes. Yes.
And we already know that that is something that. Oh,
I think you went out on us.
I think she's logging into another. Here we go. Oh, there, we're back. Can you hear us, Sandy? Sandy, can you hear us? Can you hear?
Oh, can you all hear me?
Now we can hear you, but you're far away.
Ah.
It's switched views.
it's the signal. I am so sorry. Um,
Hey, Erica.
hold tight. I'm coming right back in. I'm coming right back
Okay.
in.
Yeah, so undertaking family healing is not something that's one and done. Like the ripples of these consequences had already been in motion
Mm-hmm.
for years before Chadwick ever even knew. And
What
then
was
he
going
opened a can of worms,
on? Yep. Yep.
right? The whole community had to open a can of worms because their whole
Mm-hmm.
reality structure of power was challenged by an outsider, right?
Mm-hmm.
Somebody perceived as to not be part of the core family unit.
Yeah.
So, I mean, so okay, we're here at patriarchal legacy. We're about hidden activities and the impact of that, responsibilities that are transferred to us that are known and unknown. What else do we have around the father son dynamic before we go to the next one?
Say that one more time.
I'm saying, do we have anything else on the father son Chadwick,
Oh,
this first picture before we go to the next picture?
um, do I know? Mm-mm.
Sandy, are you good? Can you hear us?
All right. Can you all hear
Yes.
me now?
Yeah, we
Yeah.
can. We got Erica, JoJo, Jackie all here on the stream and a couple other people. So thank you, everyone. These are all family mappers and folks who've gone through the
I
process.
can't hear y'all.
One thing I do want to mention, when you were talking, Joelle, um, I feel as though there's all in every family mapping I've experienced and just knowing the movie, there's always this one force that will disrupt everything so everything can be put into place, like how Sandy said earlier. Family mapping is all about, putting these things into place after it's disrupted. And that's how, when I as you was explaining, I'm like, that's how the movie was. All these things were lined up way before he got in the position that he was in. But in order for things to continue and get better, someone had to come in and disrupt all that was going on that no one did see, or that he didn't see. No one
It was going to come to a head sooner or later, right? At some point, the father was going to pass away, and this
Yeah,
was going to come out.
come
Nobody was
out.
ready for it,
That's
right?
how it be.
Right. So, okay, let's see if we get Sandy back on here before I drop the next picture.
Yeah, because I seen the next picture and it gets deep.
Well, it does. I don't know. I've got a couple. Let's see which one you see. I think she's coming back here. We've got her on the other. I'll go ahead and I wanted to see if she had any last minute father
Oh yeah.
energies, right? Like yeah, I think we'll touch back on parenting after we get through the next phase here. So I'm going to go ahead and add the next picture. All right. So can I just say
Mm.
Angela's killing it with the gray hair?
Okay,
I'm
yes,
like, they did her hair so beautifully
they
in
did.
number 2, I have to say. All right. So we're talking a scene from Black Panther 2. This is where Queen Ramonda, whose son is dead, is taking her daughter, Shuri, to do their ceremonial grieving ritual. And she's not ready to do it because she's lost her brother. And then all of a sudden, a threat to them emerges from within their own waters. Okay, let's talk about that in a second. But from within the waters, an unknown adversary emerges and threatens them. And this is where they are surprised, shocked, and on the defensive. All right. So here comes Sandy. Sandy, did you catch any of that? I think there's a bit of a lag.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to take it down because, of course, okay, she's on mute. I think she'll. Can you hear?
Can you hear us?
I think she's frozen again. Oh, there she moved.
I know. I feel like I can hear her.
I can't hear her.
Oh no,
It's
she
on
probably
mute. Yeah,
I
it says
see
she's on mute.
the mute button.
And it's on her end. I can't unmute her.
Oh, okay.
I can't tell if she's just frozen or just not able to hear us. Well, so we'll continue, and hopefully, Sandy, can you circle back around? Because we can't hear you, and it looks like you're frozen.
Oh yeah, she probably gonna try again.
Yeah, it won't let me bring her in. All right, so coming from within the waters, I'm going to hit that symbolically first.
Okay.
Something came up out of the emotional state. Like,
Mm-hmm.
usually that's what happens. Something comes up in us, our shadow. Here we go.
That shadow.
We got to get you back. Are you back?
Yay!
Okay. I don't know how much you caught any of the queen. Did you catch any
I
of
saw
the?
the yes, I saw that picture.
Okay.
Okay.
So what I was saying is that, you know, she and her daughter were out and she was bringing her daughter to have the sacred honoring grief ritual to let her brother go. And the daughter was not ready to do it. She was still mad, but she was forcing, as a mother would, her to enter into the space of grief. And while they're doing that, something rose up out of the waters. And unbeknownst to them, shock and awe, surprise began to threaten their reality. Another hidden thing, a whole kingdom of things that was previously unknown, that had
Yes.
access to parts they thought were secure.
Mm.
And it arose up, and then they had to begin to live life differently. So I was saying something rose up out of the waters, out of your emotions, out of your feelings, out of your pain, out of the wounded experience. Something unknown to us has opportunity to arise whenever we say yes to spirit, that we're willing to undertake that exploration.
And you know
Um,
that show up. Thank you so much. That's so profound. Thank you so much for bringing that out. At every phase of my life that I have gone through, you know, no matter where you get in life, you learn so much, and yet there's still so much to learn. And along this journey, for all of us and many of our listening audiences, when we say yes, we'll go, or yes, we'll do, or yes, we'll be the one, we're saying it really from the perspective of a limited understanding of what we knew before, with the expectation of what we're going to enter into is going to be something similar or the same of where we've just come from. But yet, that's when we realize even the queen had, like you said, no idea about everything that the king was managing,
Mm.
and he
right,
didn't divulge it because he thought himself that he was going to be around a little bit longer, possibly.
right,
And maybe at some point in time have an opportunity to share that. Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. But this is a wonderful example that everything that we see is not what it is. And everything that's not what it is not what we think it is.
right, right,
You know? and
right.
and 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 so there again, so how do we move through secrets, because it's a scary thing, Joelle, when it's me with something that I feel bad about, I'm judging myself, about, and then I surely don't want others to judge me about this one thing. How do we move through that? Like, Family mapping, you kind of like walk up on it like,
Mhm.
whoa, you know what I mean? We offer the space, a sacred space, and those who are there to help you, like we're holding you while you walk through that space, right? We're finding out about other people's stuff and how it created the person that you are. But what about when it's us? What can we do? Because now we understand how the patterns work. What can we do when we are fearful, ashamed? Because
Right.
the truth of the matter is the same thing that was done to us, we do to others. But it feels a little
Protective.
bit different, you
Protection is
know.
the number one justification that people have is fear, and whatever I need to do to assuage my fear is justifiable. And that means keeping that secret. Because I think last week we talked about 2 weeks ago, the person, she found out that her parents were biological brother and sister,
Mm,
unbeknownst to her.
mm,
And she was terrified for over a decade of being judged by her loved ones when people found out that she had no choice of who she was born to, right? But she was so fearful to finally admit. So she was going to go to the grave with the secret if she had not finally got so pent up that she had to tell someone. And she never had kids because of what she found out. So she stopped the perpetuation of that energy, but like her own shame and fearfulness and stigma and judgment, I'm sure, operated in her frequency with everyone that she tried to nurture and connect with, because it
mm-hmm.
was part of her.
Yes.
um
It's freedom in being transparent. It's
what
freedom. It's that thing, if you want to say bondage and shackles, and I feel like there's a weight wrapped around my ankles in life where I can't move freely. It's those things that you cannot see because there are really no shackles around your ankles. It's freedom. And it doesn't mean that you got to go and share it with the world. Find somebody that you trust.
Mhm.
well the first thing that happened when the secret started coming out was more responsibilities came at first.
Mm.
Mhm.
Like, you know what I'm
It
saying?
hits you
Like,
like a ton of bricks.
Mhm.
yeah, like, oh, now I gotta do this, and I gotta, wow, there's a whole trajectory of things, but it does resolve, over time. I think Jackie is in the chat here. We have your wonderful interview that you did with us before on this, Jackie, but you speak about having the weight of something lifted just through revelations that were able to come through the map. Now, in the process of mapping, there's not a way to call up the deceased and say, is this true? Is this secret? Is so and so my daddy? Like, you can't do that, right? You know what I'm saying? But the cellular body knows when it hears a truth,
Mm,
right? So,
mm.
like, you can't unring a bell. So, when something comes up in map and you're like, whoa, wait,
It's
whoa.
undeniable.
Yes.
It's like the truth comes down like a ton of bricks. It's present, whether the individual is present or not. You know the truth. It's like in your soul. You just know it. When you hear it, you
Well,
know it.
when Killmonger came up to stake his claim, it was like,
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Like what look. The question became, what do we do? Like, what do we do? You are here. There is no mistaking that you
Yep.
are who you are, right? The question now is, how do we
How do
deal?
we
And there
move?
was and there was confusion on that council.
right.
There was first, it was
Mhm.
denial, a
Mhm.
sense of denial. Well, how do we know that he is who he is? And then when he came with the truth, it was undeniable. Okay, now what do we do? with this truth. It's almost like, how do you unravel something of a secret that is not even of your making, so to speak? How do you unravel that? The power dynamics of who is ready and just enough mm,
To lead for the parents.
to lead for
I
the
think,
parents.
yeah, I think so. Hey, Monica.
Hey, Monica.
Speaking of family,
I love it.
um, yes, so, oh, definitely. She said, I knew without a doubt. And it's also, there's a bit of a time lag. So they might have been commenting on things we said before, too.
Oh, beautiful.
Sorry, but
I
thank
love
you.
it. Thank you, Jacqueline.
Yeah.
Wow.
You see and in the storyline, like at the end, we the movie watchers know that there was a reconciliation at the end as he died, where he was held by Chadwick and saw the sunrise over the place he had been trying to be accepted his whole life as an outsider, right? So you see that reconciliation moment, but then when he presents in the next movie in the ancestral plane, he's the vengeful spirit that is fostering the retribution when when she forces herself into the ancestral plane in a kind of angry way. She got that experience back, really. She undertook it in that energy and got the energy back that she seeded it with, in a way. You know what I'm saying? But so then she was met with that dynamic in her bloodline that resonated with that frequency. Same thing with Namor, right? In the energy of vengeance, because to see what he saw when he arose from the watery kingdom, he killed the people who were enslaving the Mayans. He went on a vengeance thing, and the two of them were both reflecting each other in their vengeance, right? And our family inheritance, what happened to my mama, what happened to my daddy, what happened to our kingdom, what happened to our kingdom, right?
Wow.
Oppositional tension, but it was the same story.
You know something? This goes real deep, Joelle, because I am hearing what you're saying, and I'm thinking about, at what point do I as an individual get to, this is what it is? How can I move with as little waves in the water to create a result that continues the pattern that has already been created before my existence, right? And I'm thinking about how this same pattern in the family has been duplicated outside of the family, in communities, outside of the community, to the entire world. This same pattern. So this work that we're doing here in this small little section of the world is truly impacting. It's impacting positively, because all it takes is one person to shift something in themselves, and then the whole paradigm no longer tomorrow look the same way that it looked yesterday. That's the realization that I'm coming to, how huge this is. And we're utilizing Wakanda, a small little segment of the earth in Africa, fictionally in Africa. But when we start realizing the impact of this small little place, hidden jewel in Africa, they got the key to help save the entire world.
Right.
I mean,
And it was, a lot of it was through their connecting with ancestors as part
yes,
of their way of life, was to always have that persistent connection and practice through that flower that we talked about, before, to remain in communication with the wisdom.
And yet most of us try to forget, or if we don't forget, we're so disconnected to who the ancestors are,
Yeah.
like, when we're doing family mapping, I always will ask, bring one of your ancestors, bring a couple of your ancestors to the family mapping. Let's put them up, let's give them space. Let's allow them to space to express. You choose who you want it to be, and then when you think about it, creating the space, we then now have expanded our own individual perspective about things.
Mm.
And we are opening up, like you say in Wakanda, we are connecting now with, because they're the ones with the answers. We're here trying to figure it out. They
Well,
have the answers.
they have the answers, but there's also that polarity because at the end of the first movie, they had to change the ancestral mind. Like
Mm,
he went back and they were like, you're right. We do need to open up our board. We do need to
mm,
change.
mm, mm.
So there was like that forward and backward, like linearity is our mental perception. We see things as back in time or forward in time, but the true multidimensionality is shown when you see that he impacted the ancestral realm as much as they impacted. So we do that healing, like you said, forward and backward through family mapping.
It is truly, yes, yes, I'm ready for the healing, but the
Ain't for
obstacles
the
ain't for
faint.
the faint of heart.
No.
Yes. So, I mean, this is what it said. Who gonna come test me? That whole thing was like a test. It wound up
Yes.
testing everything, every structure, every border, every barrier, every defense, every belief. That's what happens, right? When we're ready to really do things in a new way. Like this whole thing is a story of the old versus the new,
Yeah.
and how we move into new that is better instead of new that is worse,
Yeah.
or at least the same. We'd rather it be improved, right?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Now I want to show you the next picture because we touched on this a little bit.
Mm, mm.
So, little dude, isolated from part of his family, an inheritance that he just knows really only through oral relay, not through community experience. He's been kept a secret from his auntie to protect him. All these decisions have been made, and yet he's being told that he's a future king, right? Mantle already now on him.
Oh, hold up, Joelle. You know something I just realized? That Father Panther, brother was supposed to kill. He was supposed to
Mm-hmm.
go back and
Mm-hmm.
kill the son. This son.
He didn't because of his own spitefulness.
This child was not even supposed to be ever known by anybody. So that is another part, whether it was known by the son here, the long lost son, or not. Energetically, what begins to happen
Mm-hmm.
is he feels he does not belong and never belonged. You understand? So now he's got to go and take his
What's
rightful
right?
place.
Yeah.
So the
Well,
so
this
the
is
anger.
wait, so that's Killmonger, right? You're talking about.
Yes.
Yeah.
This is T'Challa's son.
Oh,
Wait, I got it.
This
okay.
is the son that the lady with the locks, I can't remember her name, that she had him in Haiti with her. This is the next generation, not a flashback.
Oh,
Oh, this
got
is,
it.
yeah,
You
this
know
is,
what? I thought this was, remember the scene that he was looking up in the sky when he was playing basketball outside?
Mhm.
yeah,
That
no,
looked like him. Okay, okay,
this is
okay.
little baby T'Challa, whatever. At the end of the last one, I cut her out of the
Oh,
picture.
I got
This
it.
is the new generation.
Ooh. So
So
now now we repeating
Mhm.
something.
yeah, he's separated from his part of his family. Now she's his family, and she's from Haiti, like right. So she's at home with him, but protecting him, and the family doesn't even know he's existing, and he
Mm.
doesn't know anything other than the legend of his daddy, but not the messy man, right?
Guess what? Guess
It's
what just happened? Guess what just
Mhm.
happened? The same thing like you were just saying. The same thing that happened with Killmonger. The same thing is
same thing.
happening.
And Chadwick didn't even know what happened with Killmonger. That, you know what I'm saying? So it
Right.
skips around out of our view, right? But it's still energy. People think that we
Mm,
marry people accidentally or we birth kids
Mhm.
with people accidentally,
Mhm.
but it's our bloodlines bringing energies together to resolve a certain lesson in energy experience.
mm,
Like, what does it mean to be abandoned? What does it
mm,
mean to be addicted? We're all learning these archetypical lessons. What does it mean to fall in love with someone, to bear a child, and you're also in love with someone else?
mm, mm,
What does it mean to decide that you have to cut off your family in order to protect you and your child?
mm,
What decision did you make for your child? Like, so we're
mm.
exploring all of these things, and we accept it as like a great storyline
Yeah. Yeah.
because it speaks to all of us. We can relate to it.
Right. 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 You know, I often think about Joelle, purpose of life, as you were sharing the different logistics and myriad of ways of how we experience certain things, and then the results of those experiences, and some of us discover why we experience it, sometimes some of us don't. We transition and go on to the next or what have you, and we still are clueless. So I often think, like, this purpose, why are we here with all of these experiences? And one of the things that have come to my mind, we can dissect it and talk about it, but one of the things that often come to my mind is, I truly believe, so that we can get to a point of no judgment. I mean, because it's like the rabbit hole. Like, do you want to know how far the rabbit hole goes? You can continue digging forever and ever and ever, and you'll see the
Mm.
duplication of the things that you already saw. But truly, after you've experienced something, you've gotten that emotion, and then you have another different emotion, and then you realize that emotion that you had last year is the same emotion that you experienced in this year. At what point in time do we come to the place to say, you know what? Does this even truly matter? So we come to a place of experiencing things and discovering things to ultimately come to that place of healing and releasing and going, you know what? Okay. You know, it's okay. It's okay. How can we get to that point? Once it's revealed, you already know what the end result can be for complete healing, so to speak, or complete, I guess, a complete transformation. You know, this way helps you to see it and move through it, and then go, you know what? Okay, I get it. It's cool. I came from this. This happened to me. You know what? I'm not saying and justifying that it's okay, but it's cool. That doesn't change the person of who I
It can take, like, real talk, it can take good therapy to get to it's cool. Like, let's not sugarcoat and act like, okay, an afternoon of work is going to boom give you all the tools you need then to like get to a place of forgiveness. Like, this, it's not magic sauce, right? It really isn't. Like, there are deep-seated traumas and things. Like, if you're dealing with a family pattern of molestation, right, getting to a place of non-judgment, it may not actually be this lifetime, honestly, that you can feel compassion, or you might need like a lot of intensive therapy with a professional who's versed in like a regular modality that's specific to trauma like that. Because we don't just be like, oh, really, honestly, ho'oponopono, I forgive you. It's, you know what I'm saying? We're talking about alcoholism or introduction to drugs or things at a young age. Like, we're talking about like pretty intense things. Like she said, it's no joke when you really want to undertake it. But the integrated support of the 3D and the 5D, like, let's talk about like therapists and ancestors both can work. And honestly, for a lot of us, real talk, we're the first generation to really avail ourselves of therapy. That is going to
Yes.
be huge. Like, we've got 20, 30 years of Oprah doing therapy on TV. All right. But uh, now, even men who didn't have the language of being able to go talk to somebody about their feelings 2 generations ago, still living, grandfathers probably weren't in the therapist's office. We're now arming our kids. And I have friends who brought their kids into therapy when they were teens and preteens, when they were dealing with stuff. And they know now it's okay for me to go talk to somebody professional. I'm going to get some good tools out of it. That's going to be a huge shift in all of us.
Yes.
The consciousness, because we're getting better
Yes.
at healing, the job of healing, right?
Yes. It's the unraveling. It's an unravel.
Mhm.
And the truth of the matter is it actually can be quick or not. It just depends on what you need. Oh yeah, bingo. Ancestors need healing too.
Yes.
That's why we're here. They say the fruit, we the children get to enjoy the fruit of the tree. Like, I love this beautiful tree in the background. You know, the ancestors plant the tree and then we the children get to enjoy the fruit. It can be simple, Joelle. It can be. It's not as difficult for everybody as it is for some people. Some
Right.
people are ready.
I was just about to say that I believe it is truly depending on the person and how ready they are. Like, no matter what they have been through, I feel like it depends on their mindset and if their perspective has changed over the years of it not going well. When you find a source like this to work with and you are ready, I feel like it can be easy.
Okay. I mean, every experience is unique. I think you said that in one of our little interviews, Sandy. I've got that quote
Yes.
that I've used, that everyone
It can,
has
so
something different.
yeah, I don't want people to think that we've got all different colors and hues and ins and outs
Oh,
and
yeah.
beautiful, it and that's the other piece. I don't want anyone to judge how they experience this process.
Yeah.
You
Right.
know, you don't look at somebody else and go, well, oh, they seem to have been able to just have one session and then, they just seem, no. We all experience experiences differently. So be
Well,
kind to yourself.
I think the mapping circle itself winds up helping that, because you can be in a map with somebody who's going through something that is so far from your experience, But because you're brought into their map experience for their lived dynamic and energy, you develop an empathy then, to find out, or, to be there and be the person who caused this person harm, and be facing them through the facilitation, and allowing yourself to, bring forward energy that might be uncomfortable, because it's like, I'm not even really an angry person, but I'm feeling a need to communicate something that's really angry with this in the representation of the family dynamic. That can be freeing, because maybe I'm not angry about that particular dynamic that the person is talking about, but I can relate to not being able to maybe express anger to a close loved one. And so forcing myself to kind of say those things with the freedom of it, because it's not my family, it does impact everybody, whether it's your personal map at the focus, or whether you're participating in someone else's constellation.
Yeah.
That part. You want to talk a little bit about that, Isaiah, because our
I
last
do.
yes, please come on
I was
in.
going to. Okay, so yes, I mean, in so many family mappings, but it was one in particular that it was a specific, and I'm gonna be a little transparent within myself. It was a specific um situation I was going through in my personal life, and the family mapping, like Joelle said, this had no relations to my personal life whatsoever, but within what was pulled up and who I was, can I say, as a conduit for, um this energy that I felt had relations to someone in my bloodline, and the connection was what I was going through in my personal life was needing that shadow work being worked through. And I couldn't figure out what I needed to do until I went to this specific family mapping that had no connection. I'm like, this is nothing, my life is nothing like this, but there was an energy that was connected to something in my life, in my bloodline, that I needed to work through. So even though sometimes the stories are, way over, everybody's life is different. So, and upbringings are different, but somehow, some way, there's always one little thing or gesture or emotion or, frequency that you may feel that is a connection to your life.
And I want to say thank you for sharing that, Isaiah. And I also want to say that in family mapping sessions, um, you really get out of your logical mind as the play continues on. When we first start, you may have a very composed type of what have you perspective about what's going on. But as the conversation continues, so let me just share this piece. You are asked to be a representative in someone's map. You're kindly asked, and if you choose, then what happens is they'll position you inside of the map with reference to the person there that they're needing you to represent for them in that map. So that's what Joel and Isaiah are referring to. And so at a certain point in time, because as Isaiah was sharing, that this particular conversation that we were having, this particular situation that we were having in the background of her own life, it was running. And so when someone says something that, as Joelle said, triggers a thought, an emotion inside of your own life, then you become the person for the one that you're standing in the place of. You become that person. So the analytical mind then goes way out of the way, and then you step into that. And then it becomes, you assume the persona, the personality of the person that you're representing. Sometimes even the emotions come up for that representation, but you're really helping yourself. It's so beautiful with family mapping. You can be a representative for someone else, and then you receive the healing personally yourself. Like you get the answer. You didn't come seeking the answer, but yet you receive the answer for your personal life.
Yeah.
Like this is it's
Well, it's all
amazing.
like one big connected conspiracy of like we're all traveling along this path and we intersect, and here's an opportunity to grow and expand and address things that our spirit has been calling for in an unexpected way, you know. And it just, I want everyone to know this is not Black folk work. Like, this is all folk work. Okay. We've had people from age 19 to 80, 85,
Different
and different
ethnicities.
races and cultures. And, you know,
Yes.
one guy kept saying, that's so weird that she's saying that. Wow,
and
that's
he
just
and who
like
he
my
was, and he was
situation.
representing somebody, and they were two different nationalities.
Yeah,
Oh
and
wow,
he kept
that's
saying, that's so weird that you're saying that. That's kind of odd that she, wow. He kept saying that over and over again. You
Like he was
oh
surprised.
wow. That's so funny. That is so funny.
Ah,
Now educate the new generation what they will face so they can heal. Yes.
come on, Isaiah.
Yes.
Come on and talk to us about some things that the younger generation, how they can heal through some of these processes.
Well, I would, because I do have a lot of young people that I service. So I would say the first thing is showing them that, because they see it on social media, right? So just making it the new norm for them, like I feel like for us, we're learning how to maneuver in this space. But for the youth, they see it all now. So, we just have to guide them in the right direction. But they have they have it out, they have the knowledge out there. It's just a lot out there. So they may be taking too much. And then I have so many youthful clients, they'll ask me questions about spirituality and things, and it always goes to, well, what's real and what's not, and it always pops up of, these kids are looking for something, and we as the adults, we're not really, we're busy doing our work, so we're not focused on them. So they're doing whatever, they're doing whatever, but they have the knowledge, they just need the right guidance to place them where they need to be.
Well, and it was interesting as you were talking, because I was thinking about every generation is less judgy than the last, right? So there's certain things like these little kids today, they don't give a damn. Like, they don't give a damn. Like, they're, the thing about, a lot of our secrets that we're still living with generationally, because we got like 6-7 generational still living at this point because of the rapid birth cycle.
Mhm.
We got 4 or 5 great grand, all kicking it. So that idea that there was something shameful that needs to be hidden about a pregnancy outside of a marital situation, that's gone.
Yeah.
For a lot of people. It's still not for others, but in general, the young folks aren't as attached to propriety and Piscean era structures and domestications.
Hierarchy. Go ahead and say it.
Yeah.
Hierarchy. They're like, no, you
they're
gotta
like,
earn your respect.
Yes.
that idea that I'm a sinful person who is prone to things that are wrong or problematic, or why they're not dealing with some of the same hangups about sex, about stuff. But then that also means they may not know that something is actually harming them. Like, their early sexualization may be inappropriate and harming them, but they don't know that, because they're like, I didn't know, I don't care. We see it all the time on TV. It's just sex, right? But unbeknownst to them, they're repeating a pattern of a problem or a wound or an unhealed thing where it hasn't been aligned. and it's been hurtful in the family in the past when someone has exercised their sexual freedom. Mm-hmm. And they don't even know that they might be headed for an abandonment experience because this person 4 generations ago was put out the family for being sexually free. Right? Like we get into the changing of the beliefs that we're structuring the secrecy and the trauma responses. And we've evolved out of some of that, but the pattern hasn't evolved.
That's right. That's really profound what you just pointed out there, Joelle. So, you know, a lot of the promiscuities that were shunned, you know, we look around with the younger generation now, like you say, and you know, promiscuity, what I think that word is about to be erased out of the dictionary. Like,
and I don't
there,
disagree
like
with the fact that it should be. I think it should be because it's a judgy criteria that supposedly means something negative when it's not. So that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But we see then where patterns can reemerge where it's still being unhealthily.
So basically what you're saying is it's the energy is still present, but the actions have not changed. Right. The energy is still present and flowing in that direction, whatever birthed it, an outcome of a child or what have you. The results are still here, but yet the outward appearance, so to speak, or the outward, the vocal, you know. So you just said something that makes me think on something, Joelle. I don't know that this newer generation is not concerned about it. I think that visually they deal with it differently. I think the impact is still impacting them. I have children, and just based upon my experience with my children, like they still are going through it, but they're not as vocal. They're not when it come to when it, and Isaiah, you can talk a little bit about this and correct me if I'm wrong. They're not as vocal about the intimacies of their feelings, like truth and transparency. Like they have this nonchalant attitude, but when they feel deep and down, like they go way down. You know what I mean? Because one is, we didn't talk about it. Well, I did in my family, my children and all of my students, we talk about stuff. But on the average, there was a generation that didn't talk about things, what happened to them. They didn't talk about it. They just did what they had to do and shifted in their family and moved their children here, there, and the other in the age group of, 55, 60, 65, even 70s, They didn't talk about it. So now we have children who are just moving and just don't talk about things until they get around other people to say, like you were just saying, to say something like, well, that's not really appropriate. Like that's, that touch that was done, or that conversation that was had, that, and that might be the result of why you might do X, Y, and Z. You understand? So I think that the impact is showing in our children in this generation, Isaiah's generation. They're just not verbally expressing it in such a, I don't know. Y'all,
No,
you help me out with that.
I think it's true on both. It's true in, okay, so it's true, and here's a polarity. Today's kids don't really care about gayness, right? It's not a blip. It's not a thing to be talked about, discovered, discussed. It's just a reality is that they're like, I'm non-binary. I'm a lesbian. Like the whole struggle that we have people who have aunties and uncles and grandparents or great aunties and uncles who nobody ever talked about was gay and lesbian because it was considered wrong. It was judged as inappropriate in the family. That caused that person to be ostracized, judged, shamed, and possibly really remove themselves for their own health, or some other form of harm could have come to them in the family dynamic because of this 20 years ago, not even 20, 30. So these kids are not coming in with that, and they don't realize that great grandma don't talk about gayness. They're tootling around in their little teenage selves, like, and the adults in the family are still dealing with the anger and the trauma in an active sense from family members who are still not even welcome back into the fold, while this new generation has already adapted and flexed, and they know Auntie Brenda was gay. Like,
Well, I'll
so
tell you what I witnessed, and I want Isaiah to come on to share some things, because she's, she's in that generation, and she's servicing that generation, have conversations with them, and offer healing. Yes, soul healing. What do you think about this conversation, Isaiah? Because we're very passionate, as you can see.
Yes. Well, I know I'm going to speak on the generation right after me, the kids, the children, and then I'm going to touch on my generation. The For the children, you had mentioned, I don't know which one of y'all mentioned it, but the whole lack of communication, because technology has become so big. I watch them, but when they are getting serviced by me, you have no choice. You have to speak up for yourself, and you have to talk to me so I understand who you are and how we can coincide together. They don't know how to communicate because they don't have anyone to communicate with except themselves, amongst themselves. And you had mentioned back in the day there was, what did you say? It was, you don't speak, right?
Yeah,
Now
you experience and you just don't say nothing about it.
you don't. Back then it was you don't say. Now is I don't want to hear it. Like, I hear most of my children who come to me, their parents just, they don't have the time to hear what they got. They, none of the parents are listening to the kids, so to the children. So you know they don't know how to hold conversations. They don't know what to say. They don't know how to move through their emotions because they don't talk it out. Half of the battle is you can think it, but you have to walk it. You got to say it. You got to be it. And they don't know how to do that. Then with my generation, I think sometimes we're a little bit fed up at the generation before us, that now we have so much to do that we're kind of doing this on the left hand side, and we also have to bring the ones on the right hand side. So we're in this limbo of, you know, can I say damned if I do, damned if I don't.
how old are you, Isaiah?
I'm 30.
See, I think that it's interesting because, like, the Generation X bridge is very wide.
It is.
Because, like, my generation would be your parents, honest. Like, I'm
Okay.
52.
Okay.
So a
Okay.
lot of my peers have kids, 28, 30, the late bloomers. So we it's like you don't know what our mamas and daddies was like. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Right.
you talk about when you had, we eased the gap too. So we're all kind of like that Generation X bridgers, so to speak. And we
Mhm.
came here really to do this work on a level. But I had to take some of your little coattails away there because I'm like, you just don't even know how heavy it was.
Okay.
You're like, why do we have
That
to do so much work? I'm
listen,
like,
let me tell you, and I'm a little bit older than you, Joelle, and every single generation says the exact same thing.
I know, right?
We
That's
had to
bad.
walk 2 miles to get to
Right.
school. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Y'all ain't had nothing. And then the generation before that is talking about we had to work in the fields from sun up to
right,
That's
sundown.
crazy.
You know what I mean?
right. Well, like until you wore pantyhose to work, you can't say anything to me.
It's funny.
No, but
So
it is a rapid. I think that's why we're here now, though, because there is a rapid compression. We've got in 20-year increments, we've got like 4 generations, possibly 5, depending on your family health pattern, all still living an active karmic clearing exercise as a soul group, you know, from great, 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 80, 80, 60, 40, 20. 20 could have a baby, right?
Yep.
You have a baby,
You
yes.
right. We're doing our piece here, y'all. We want y'all to come along because this is not a one person show. As you see Joelle, as you see Isaiah, there are many others who be coming on this platform with us talking about this. It is all of us helping. It's a large task, and no one person can do it alone. I can't do it alone. Joelle is here, Isaiah is here, many others come. We have those who are right here helping us with getting this information out to you. Like every single person. I want to give y'all a shout out because y'all doing the daggone thing today.
Oh
Um,
yeah, and I
they are,
appreciate
they
it.
are. I'm loving y'all.
Yeah, no,
Kisses and hugs.
the family mapping alumni come
Let me
together
tell
every
you.
time to do it. So our next family mapping is on September 29th, which is a Sunday. If you are in the Atlanta area, it's in South Fulton. I will have the registration link in the description of this on YouTube after we're done. There's still space, but it is an intimate group, so I would encourage you to register as soon as possible. We do have another date in the works for the fall, but just allow yourself to be guided in the perfect way to attend when just pull the trigger when you're ready, because there will be something there that's at that particular convergence with that group of people that you'll fit perfectly as a piece of that work. I promise you. So
We
we've gone
need
on an
you.
hour and a half almost, and
Yes.
feel like we could go through Wakanda even more because there's a whole lot of things, but I feel like we discussed some really good points today.
Indeed. Indeed. This has been, eye opening for me. I'm always learning from you all. I am, as I mentioned in the beginning, so grateful to be on this journey, doing this work, or this work doing me. I'll put it like that because every family mapping is different. None of them are ever the same. Press the button. Don't be afraid. We are here to support you. We're here to walk through with you. Um, it's just some time, investing a little bit of your currency into a lifelong shift and change. Your life will never, ever, I mean this, be the same. And that's a good thing.
It's a
You
good thing.
Yes.
like people say, continuing to do the same thing over and over is considered insanity. Put
Yes,
some uniqueness and some shifts in your life, you know?
absolutely.
So I'm
Absolutely.
looking forward to seeing you all. I
Well, and
really am.
we will be back next Thursday for a conversation with you and Shirley Marie, and we're going to be talking about the intersection of traditional therapy and the ways that we cope with life and trauma, and how family mapping integrates those two things. So Shirley Marie is a wonderful practitioner and amazing resource that holds space as well at these. So we don't just drop you through this experience without the proper container. It's not like you're trying to trigger people and like go be great today. You just unpacked 30 years of trauma. You know what I'm saying? Now go enjoy your dinner. Like, it's not that
quite
kind of
like
experience. So Shirley will also add to our conversation next week as we look at it from that angle.
Yes, I love it. Thank you, Isaiah. Thank you so much,
Yes,
Joelle. I
thank you for
appreciate you
having
all
me.
so much.
Well, I appreciate both of you and the commenters, Monica, Jackie, Erica, JoJo. I know Tanya will be catching this. All of the Good Vibe Tribe, all of your family and clients who are tuning into this, we appreciate the support
We
that you have
appreciate
for
you.
this work. If you're a family mapping alum from any of these events and you want to come on and talk, drop Sandy a message or myself a message, and we will get your family mapping experience out here to share with everyone. So thank you, ladies, and have a beautiful, beautiful evening. And we'll see you all on the 29th in mapping. All right. Good night.
Good night.